Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. Before I go deep into this, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our updates. Okay, let's get right into the gist. So, the big story at the moment, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned the trial of Nnamdi Kanu, and this adjournment has taken the case into a critical phase. The court is expecting a medical report, and depending on what that report says, there are 4 possible directions this case might take. Let me lay out what's going on, what to watch out for, and what those 4 possibilities could be. Stay with me. Here's what's happened so far. Kanu is facing charges including terrorism, treason, incitement, and defamation against authorities. At a previous date, the court ordered that the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, constitute a medical panel to assess Kanu's health. The panel was to evaluate whether the facility under the Department of State Services, DSS, is adequate for his care, or whether he should be moved to a better hospital, possibly the National Hospital. This medical panel has already done its work. It examined Kanu, prepared a report, and submitted it to the Attorney General's office. But at the court session, the prosecution informed the judge that the report was not yet ready to be presented in court. Because of that, the trial had to be adjourned. The new date the judge has fixed is the 16th of October, 2025, when the medical report should be submitted and the next line of procedures decided. Also, it's worth noting, Justice Omotosho has already dismissed Kanu's no-case submission, meaning the court believes there is enough evidence to require Kanu to open his defense. So, that's where we are. Now, let's talk about the 4 possibilities that could flow from here, assuming the medical report comes in and is accepted by the court. 4 possibilities. To anticipate. Report says DSS facility is adequate, health is stable, trial continues under current conditions. If the panel finds that Kanu's health is okay, and that the DSS medical facility can handle any care he needs, then the court might decide there's no need to move him. The trial would proceed as scheduled, with Kanu required to present his defense. This would be the status quo continues option. Report recommends transfer to National Hospital or another facility. If the panel determines that the DSS facility is insufficient or that Kanu's health is precarious, the court could order his transfer to a hospital like the National Hospital. This could delay proceedings further, but might also give Kanu's team an advantage in preparing medical evidence or proving that his health was compromised. Report declares that Kanu is unfit to stand trial. This is a more extreme scenario. If the medical team finds that Kanu is medically unfit to stand trial, for example, severe conditions, making court appearances, or legal defense impossible, the court might suspend the trial until his health improves, or take other exceptional steps. This might include reconsideration of detention conditions or even revisiting some legal positions. Challenge to the report, legal objections, delay tactics. Even after the report is submitted, there could be legal squabbles. The defense or prosecution might challenge the findings, accuse bias, ask for more experts, demand more time, or seek to disqualify parts of the report. That could lead to further postponements, appeals, or reconstitution of panels. In effect, the trial could stretch longer. Beyond those possibilities, here are some side issues to watch that could influence the final outcome. Public and political pressure. The Kanu case is extremely sensitive, especially in the southeastern region and among those who support Biafra agitation. Any perception of unfair treatment or medical neglect could spark protests or political fallout. International attention. Kanu's health, treatment, and rights might attract scrutiny from human rights organizations. If there's a claim that his rights are being violated, that could add pressure on the judiciary or the government to act carefully. Precedents and legal principle. How the court handles medical fitness and fair trial rights here could set a precedent for other high-profile detained persons. Judges will be conscious of how they handle this so as not to be vulnerable to appeals or criticisms. Tactical moves by defense or prosecution. Each side may use this moment to arrange their strongest legal strategies. The defense may push to show medical neglect. The prosecution may try to show nothing is wrong and cast doubt on delays. Now, let me also walk you through some bits of context that help explain why this case is so complex and why delays happen. Kanu's trial has had a history of recusals, judges stepping aside, adjournments, and legal drama. He was rearrested in Kenya in 2021 after fleeing while on bail in 2017. His defense claims that his health has deteriorated under DSS custody, citing multiple disorders and inadequate care. The government insists that he is being fairly treated, that his case must proceed, and that terrorism charges are serious and cannot be delayed indefinitely. So, with all that, the October 16 date is a very important turning point. Once that medical report is in, the court will have a clear decision to continue, pause, or adjust procedures. Wire, it's mortar, hower. As we await October 16, here are a few points you might want to keep your eyes on. Will the defense accept the medical report, or will they challenge it? If transfer is ordered, how will that affect the pace and strategy of the trial? Will public and media pressure change how the court or DSS behave? Could there be last-minute legal moves, emergency appeals, injunctions, or motions? I promise to bring you updates immediately once the report is tabled or decisions are made. So, do me this favor. Like this video if you found this explanation useful, subscribe if you haven't yet, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to get the update. So, as we were saying, this Nnamdi Kanu case is now standing at a crossroads. The next court session on the 16th of October 2025 will be very important. Everyone from his supporters to the legal community and the international observers is waiting to see what direction the judge will take once the medical report lands on his table. Now, let's talk about what's really behind all this. This trial isn't just about the person of Nnamdi Kanu. It's about law, power, and the question of justice in Nigeria. You see, for years, the case has tested how far the government can go in balancing national security with human rights. The court is trying to show independence, but it's walking on a tightrope between legal procedure and public sentiment. When Justice Omotosho dismissed Kanu's no-case submission, it was a strong message. The court basically said, "We've seen enough to continue. The accused must come and defend himself." That alone shows that this case is entering its most serious stage. But now, with the medical report pending, things have slowed again, and that's giving room for speculation, political interpretations, and social media debate. Let's be real, this case has divided opinions across Nigeria. Some people see Kanu as a freedom fighter who is simply pushing for the rights of his people. Others see him as someone who crossed the line into incitement and threats to national unity. Either way, the judiciary has to decide based on evidence, not emotion. But the question remains, will justice be done in a way that Nigerians will trust? Now, let's talk about one interesting angle that people are not really discussing: the role of the Nigerian Medical Association in this case. Normally, doctors don't get this involved in political or criminal trials, but the court gave them a direct order to assess Kanu's health independently. That's rare, and it shows the level of seriousness attached to the issue. If the NMA panel concludes that his health is fine, that will calm a lot of speculation. But if they say he's not fit, or that DSS facilities are inadequate, then it becomes another big headline. And let's be honest, health is a sensitive matter. Even if someone is on trial, they still have the right to proper medical care. It's part of human rights under both Nigerian and international law. So, how the government and DSS handle this report could either win or lose public confidence. Nigerians are watching, and people are very alert to anything that looks like injustice or neglect. Now, while we wait for the court's next sitting, several things might happen behind the scenes. The legal teams on both sides are definitely reviewing their strategies. The defense lawyers will be looking at how to use the report to Kanu's benefit, maybe to argue for bail or better detention conditions. The prosecution team will also prepare to argue that the case must continue, regardless, to avoid accusations that justice is being delayed unnecessarily. Then, there's also the public relations battle. You'll notice how both sides issue statements and press releases. It's about controlling the narrative, influencing perception before the judgment day. And speaking of perception, let's not forget how powerful social media has become in shaping this whole story. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube itself are filled with opinions, some accurate and some very misleading. Some posts even twist facts to stir emotions. That's why it's important that we stay calm and listen to verified news from court proceedings, not just what trends online. So again, make sure to like this video and subscribe so you can always get clear and balanced updates, not rumors. Now, another thing people are wondering is whether this whole process will eventually lead to a political solution rather than a legal one. There have been whispers in some circles that maybe, at some point, the government might consider dialogue or even a form of conditional release in the interest of peace. But for now, the official line remains firm. The case is in court, and it must follow due process. Still, Nigeria's history shows that sometimes political cases don't end strictly in court. Sometimes they end through negotiation, reconciliation, or broader national discussions. So while the judiciary continues its work, we can't completely rule out that possibility either. The question is when and under what conditions. Also, it's worth noting that Justice Omotosho is now the fourth judge to handle this case. That alone shows how challenging and sensitive it has been. Some judges have had to recuse themselves, others were transferred, and in each new phase, there's a fresh delay. That's part of why people feel this case has dragged on for so long. But at this point, most Nigerians want closure, whichever way it goes. They just want justice to be served and peace to return, especially in the southeast. And let's not ignore the impact this case has had on the security situation in the region. Many times, when there's a development in Kanu's trial, whether good or bad, you see reactions across the east, markets closing, roads empty, and sit-at-home orders being announced or enforced by unknown groups. That's not sustainable for the economy or for people's safety. So, everyone is hoping that whatever happens, it should help reduce tension, not increase it. Let's also touch on the legal side again. If Kanu's defense eventually opens, it will be a key moment. The court will finally hear his version of events directly. He's expected to defend himself against the terrorism and incitement charges, and that might bring some revelations about his activities and the operations of IPOB. Nigerians will be very eager to hear that side of the story. At the same time, the prosecution will be presenting witnesses, likely security officials, and digital evidence from broadcasts and recordings. It's going to be a long process, but one that could shape Nigeria's legal precedent on issues like freedom of speech, sedition, and national unity. And one more thing the international community is watching. The United Nations, Amnesty International, and other human rights organizations have shown interest in this case. They've emphasized fair trial, access to medical care, and the need for justice to be both seen and done. So, whatever happens next, it's not just a domestic matter anymore. It's something that reflects on Nigeria's image globally. Now, before we round off this part of the gist, let me leave you with this thought. The Nnamdi Kanu case is no longer just about one man. It's about trust in institutions, the courts, the medical system, and the government. It's about whether Nigerians believe that justice can truly be fair no matter who you are. So, as the date draws near, let's stay alert, stay peaceful, and wait for the facts to unfold. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on your notifications because I'll be bringing you fresh updates right after the next court session on October 16. There's still plenty more to unpack, and I'll be breaking down every new twist in clear and simple language so everyone can follow.